Hello, viewers. Happy New Year and welcome back to MBTV Weekly Property Roundup. We bring to you top developments from Indian real estate space, which is going to have a lasting impact on you as consumers. I'm Prasun Kumar, Marketing Head of Magicbricks, and with me is Jayashree Kurup, Senior Real Estate Journalist and Editor-in-Chief of MBTV. Happy New Year and welcome, Jayashree.
Thank you, Prasun, and Happy New Year to you and all our consumers listening in here.
So, what can all of us expect in the new year as far as real estate is concerned? Any thoughts on the budget? Any trend that you see?
You know, this year I believe the budget is going to be a much more serious exercise than before because the government has now decided to use real estate and urban infrastructure and highways and things like that to kickstart our economy and give it a fillip. So there's a lot happening there, and the government is all the trade bodies are at present giving their pre-budget expectations and recommendations to the government. The government is taking it very seriously. The other thing is that all the RERAs have got their act together, and I think if with a small tinkering of that act, which gives them a little more teeth, I think that should happen in this year because the RERAs have been doing a good job. I mean, it's just that they don't have that last bit of power to implement their orders, and that needs to be fixed. I think 2021 is also the year when we are going to see a lot more completions in the market. So there will be a lot of stock, and I expect this round of end user buying to continue in 2021. A very critical year for the end user buyer. I don't see prices rising very high, except in maybe select markets, but I do see a lot of excitement in the market as far as completed projects go. Under construction projects are still a little weaker in most markets.
So, as you say, a lot of under construction projects of yesteryears are now achieving completion, and the ready to move in inventories are likely to be in the market, triggering demand and purchase anyway. Now, do you also foresee, therefore, new launches now gathering pace again because a lot of inventories would have achieved their completion?
I think when Mr. Balvinder Kumar of UP-RERA, when he came on our show earlier this week, he said that they thought that there will be no launches, but they are pleasantly surprised that there have been a lot of launches. Same thing from Karnataka-RERA. She said that there have been launches. Clearly, the industry is more gung-ho because of the buying cycle that has started. But remember, Prasun, you're going to see new formats of buying this year, and I expect that to materialize. Most of the RERAs, especially where they have to return money and the developers are stuck with not enough cash in hand, what they are asking for is the excess inventory, which they will put on the market in auctions sites and things like that. And auctioning of property is going to gather steam. The bank auctions have already become accepted norm, and we are seeing that even the RERAs are very, very keen on auctioning properties to consumers, so that it will be a good another way of buying property.
Yes, absolutely. So I think easy credit, improved liquidity, and as you rightly said, more ready to move in inventory coming, and elevated demand for affordable housing, which is likely to continue. All these things bode well for real estate as an industry, and plus at policy level, the government is likely to give a major thrust because this is going to be one of the major push for reopening or rekindling the economy, restarting the economy as such.
It is, but the one thing is that despite so much liquidity, the money is not going out of the system, and the banks are still very, very tardy in their disbursal process, and very, very cautious, over cautious, I would say. If you want the economy to rise, the money can't be in the banks. The money has to be with the industries. The banks are not lending yet.
No, true. So let's get on to some top developments, Jayashree, of last week. The first news came from Greater Noida, where the Greater Noida Authority has now started asking developers to open escrow accounts, which is mandated under RERA regulation. Is this something which is a major challenge? Is a lot left to be done there? And is it true for other markets as well, or is it an issue limited to UP and Noida?
No, it's a problem that is being addressed by all RERAs across the country. The big issue is that if you have an escrow account, you know how much money is coming in, how much money is being utilized. They can use only 70% of the 70% has to go towards construction. Only 30% can be withdrawn for operational expenses by the developer. So, and it has to be signed by an accountant. It has to be signed by an architect before the developer can take out money. Now, this is a process that RERA has mandated, but nobody is sure how many developers are doing this. The big developers, the ones who are, the long-term players have all started, but there is a lot of work to be done at the base of the pyramid in the industry. And I think all these measures are so that there's more structure and formalizing of processes at the industry level. I think this will happen across the country.
Sure.
This year, it should be a landmark for that.
Absolutely, and much needed as well.
Yeah.
Now, we spoke about how RERA is getting active across states, and last week we saw an example of RERA regulators really trying to drive things. One came from Karnataka, where now the projects are coming under lens as Karnataka-RERA has started doing on-site checks. Now, the on-spot inspections, as it is, how important are these? And is Karnataka-RERA the only one in the country, or is it happening across?
No, on-site audits have started in many other states. The Haryana-RERA started that, Gurugram-RERA started that, UP-RERA started. UP-RERA has gone one step forward. They're creating a system of star rating for different projects and developers. And they've tied up with PricewaterhouseCoopers to do this. And there's also Karnataka-RERA actually started this because there was a lot of complaints that even, they're mandated, the developers are mandated to put quarterly photographs up on the RERA site where their project is listed. But many people alleged that other photographs were being put. It's not really what was on the site is not what is being shown. So then Karnataka-RERA did spot checks and found that many of these allegations were true. And some of the developers were not really putting their own projects. So that is why on-ground audit to back up what is on the site is something that all RERAs are doing.
Okay. And other home, UP-RERA now plans to approach Reserve Bank of India on project disbursals. You did mention about how while a lot has been done around easing the liquidity crunch, but the actual disbursals from banks are not happening for fear of NPAs. Now, this is actually a catch-22 situation, because if this doesn't happen, then the cycle doesn't start, and the entire effort goes for a waste. So, UP-RERA's decision to go to RBI, do you think other RERAs will also start doing this and, really push RBI to ask banks to start disbursing?
Prasun, just about everybody is asking the RBI to intervene. Because at the end of the day, the official who disburses the money, his neck is on the block. Right. We don't have any title insurances. We don't have any safety mechanism for the officials who lend the money. And the money is not their own. It's yours and my money, right? And therefore, they're very scared of lending because so much has gone wrong in the industry. A lot of people did not do the due diligence. Now, the issue is that somewhere the officials have to feel safe enough to lend. Now, how does that happen? That is something that we will have to figure out. The RERAs are asking the RBI. The Supreme Court is asking the RBI. Everybody is pleading with the RBI, please step in and give the banks that confidence. I don't think we found a mechanism there yet.
Yeah, and in continuation with that, the Supreme Court, our RERA regulators are not the only ones. The Supreme Court has also now is asking banks to finalize the proposals to finance the unfinished Amrapali projects. Now, Amrapali we have been speaking about a lot, and how Supreme Court monitored committee actually has taken it to now some verge of completion and giving ray of hope to home buyers. But again, if banks don't disburse, then all that work goes for a toss completely, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Because, it's nowhere in the world has the central court stepped in and said, I will get housing finished, right? Resolve a problem operationally. But the fact is that if the Supreme Court of India is involved in it, it's taken its own reputation for that. I think somewhere the RBI has to, at least in the Amrapali case, the RBI has to step in and say, give the money. unless the money comes out of the system, they will not be able to construct, right? And it's a government agency, the NBCC, which is constructing. So there's very little risk there, but even now there is a lot of delay from the banks.
Yes. Okay. Now we have also always said, Jayashree, that the last leg of governance, which is the municipal corporations, they really have to, work along with people, along with public at large, and along with stakeholders and policymakers as well, to make a lot of policy initiatives that happen, a reality for people on the ground. Uh, Now we a news came that Municipal Corporation of Gurugram is finally shaping up and getting its act together, and is now in process to review infrastructure of DLF phase 1, 2, and 3, which are one of the oldest townships, in Gurugram. How significant is this, and how can consumers benefit out of this?
See, this is an ongoing process. Actually, within 5 years, projects had to be handed over to the Municipal Corporation of Gurgaon. Now, remember, Gurgaon came up with this unique model where the developers could create independent townships and pay for the authorities for, the EDC and IDC, external and internal development charges. The charges were paid, the infrastructure never got made. There was a dispute between the developers and the authorities. Money was siphoned out, and the city, these large townships came up. This developer was managing whatever, and now has come a time when a new Municipal Corporation of Gurugram has been created, and one by one these townships, which are 20, 30 years old, are being handed back over. Now, when the authority takes it over, it needs a set of things in place. In Unitech's case, because the developer had gone under, it just took over South City 1 and 2, and it had to figure out how to make the money to service these townships. But in the case, and similarly with Sushant Lok 1, Sun City completed its projects, I mean, whatever had to be done, and then handed over. Now, DLF has said that it will complete, but when the authorities looked at it, there are potholes on the road, there are some drainage issues and things like that, which need to be fixed. So the authorities are working with DLF and trying to resolve this so that the handover can happen. Now, eventually, all, the developers have to build, manage for the first 3-4 years, and then hand over to the authorities, which is the process across the country. Gurgaon, it has been tardy, and they are doing it now.
All right. So on that news, we do hope that lots of municipal corporations across the country get as active and start participating in improving the infrastructure and life of people living in. So
actually, Prasun, what you're going to see is that the municipal corporations have now realized, like last week we talked about the BBMP Act, which means that the Bangalore Municipal Corporation has been delinked from the rest of the state, and they have the right to raise their own finances. This is going to happen in city after city, because city managements need money and cannot function on doles. Very soon, and this is the prediction for maybe this year, or at least the beginnings of it, I believe that municipal bonds are going to come out very soon. And municipal bonds is one way of, we need a robust bond market. You and I have money to invest. The municipal bonds are one way of efficiently using that money and giving dividends back to the residents. And I believe that this is one thing that will happen. And everything that we're seeing, municipal governance, the base that is being laid is towards municipal bonds.
Yes, that's. I think, yes, you're absolutely correct, Jayashree. And the more financial instruments and the more ways to generate finances, are put in place, the better it is. And we have seen how well it has worked for developers or for the industry with REITs and other instruments that have been given. So yes, that's indeed. And on that wish, this is it for this week. We hope this year will bring in lots of good news and cheer to property investors and buyers across the country. And on that note, keep watching MBTV. Thanks a lot.
And here's cheers to new beginnings in 2021.
Yes.